For this week in the wiring diagrams assignment, I'm going to switch to a rooftop unit instead of doing a boiler. Probably the most common rooftop units out there are Trane rooftops. So you'll see, after you see all the wiring diagram assignments that we've done for boilers, down here at the bottom, Trane RTU. And you'll see this is a wiring diagram for a 2 to 5 ton direct drive with gas heat. Now, diagrams are turned the wrong way, so hopefully when you open these in a PDF viewer, you can rotate them the right way. So I'll zoom in here just a little bit. You can see here that this is a 2 to 5 ton single stage gas heat direct drive wiring diagram. Up here is the control transformer, 24 volt output. Here is the wire number 101D. It's a green and yellow wire that goes to ground. So they do ground one side of the transformer. Here's the power coming off the other side of the transformer. It comes over to LTB1, low voltage terminal board 1. Then you see the jumper between 1 and 2, which is powering the low pressure switch, which goes to the compressor disable. So if you wanted to disable the compressor, you could remove that jumper between LTB 1 and 2. That would be the same as disconnecting the low pressure switch, or if the unit was completely out of gas, you would still disable the compressor. So here's the low voltage terminal strip, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here's where the 24 volt feeds into. Here is the typical zone sensor, the Trane zone sensor. The input right here, 3J61, is the zone temperature, room temperature. 2 is common, so if you were to read from 2 to 1, you could actually read a voltage and convert that voltage to a temperature. Same thing with these three. These are potentiometers here, sliders on the zone sensor. There's one for cooling set point, for heating set point, and then there's a switches for the mode, whether it's in a heat mode, cool mode, fan on, fan auto. One of the things about the RTRM board here was that this, I believe, came out in 2005, 2006 on Trane units. It was called the Reliatel board. Prior to that, all of the Trane smaller rooftop units, and for some reason I can't think of what we called them, but they did not have the inputs for a conventional thermostat like you see right here. Conventional thermostat inputs, you had to buy a conventional thermostat adapter board to adapt to the Trane rooftop unit board. But when the Reliatel board came out, it changed that. You could use either the Trane zone sensor, or you could use a conventional thermostat right to the Reliatel board. So before I go any further with the wiring diagram, I want to go back and open up this document here. It's called Trane Precedent Reliatel. A lot of people say that these units are the President units. They're not President, they're Precedent. And this manual here is the wiring manual for the Reliatel. That wasn't actually the one I wanted to open up, but since I did, here you'll see here are all the wiring diagrams for all of the units from a 2 to 5 ton up to 10 ton. I think that's what this tells you, is 3 to 10 ton Reliatel control units. The control drawing that we're going to be looking at is figure 35, the 2 to 10. Excuse me, it's not going to be that one. It's going to be the 2 to 5 ton with direct drive, not belt drive. Somehow or other I found the right diagram, but it's not showing up here. But you can, when you open up this document, if you click on that number, you will see the diagram. And you'll see all the control diagrams that Trane has available for the Reliatel boards. And I'm not sure which one I picked out, but it did say 2 to 5 ton gas heat direct drive and not belt drive. I was sure that I picked the right one. Here it is here, 2 to 10 single stage gas heat direct drive. So that is actually figure 34. That's that one right there. Go back to the main menu. Here's the Reliatel Controls Service and Diagnostic Support Manual, and you will need to use this to answer a lot of the questions that are on the quiz. Here is what the Reliatel RTRM board looks like, and as you scroll down, we'll look at the index here. It tells you about the RTRM board for different types of units. If you scroll down here, here is the RTRM, RTOM, and I'm going to go to page start out here on page 109 here, and if you're using the Trane zone sensor module for temperature input, and if you remember, we just looked at the RTRM board J6 1 and 2 right here. Here was 3J6 1 and 2, that was zone temperature and common. So on this manual here, it tells you that if you were to read the voltage between RTRM J6 1 and 2, you could actually, right here, read the zone temperature to common with a DC voltmeter. If the actual room temperature was 72 degrees, the voltage you would read would be 2.64 volts. So, easy way of being able to, right at the rooftop unit, see what the zone temperature is. And then if you scroll down, now you can tell on cooling set point. So you want to know what the slider or the potentiometer, the dial for cooling set point is set to. You read the voltage between 2 and 3, and you look at this scale here. It goes from 40 degrees to 66 degrees, and then this table here, 67 up to 90 degrees. So if the cooling set point was 72 degrees, it would be 1.578 volts you would read there. So a lot of information in this Reliatel manual, and a lot of the information that you'll find in there is going to be information that's going to be asked on the quiz. But getting back to the wiring diagram, here is the RTRM board. It has the zone sensor, or if you're using conventional thermostat, there's the connections for it. Here is the communications going to the ignition module. Here's the ignition module. Here is the temperature switches for the temperature limit. Here is the pressure switch, which is the inducer proving switch, the flame rollout. One thing I wanted to show you the difference between this temperature symbol here for TCO2, which is a high limit, And this one, which is the flame rollout temperature, you see how it has the line above with what looks like it could be a button. Well, that's because this is a manual reset. The flame rollout is manual reset. TCO1, TCO2, the high limits, those are automatic reset. Here is the gas valve. This is a two-stage gas valve. There's low and then high. Down here you see where there's a communications module that will go to a building management system. Here's the options board, the RTOM. At the bottom of the drawing, here is the economizer actuator. The economizer actuator has outdoor humidity, return air temperature, and mixed air temperature. That's how it does the enthalpy comparating if you're going to do outside to return, and control the economizer. Here is the relay output for the power exhaust. It's on the ECA board. Here's the legend for all the initials, and here's all the notes. So that's about as far as I'm going to go with explaining the diagram. Take a look at the quiz, answer the questions. You're going to use this diagram. You may need to go, or you definitely need to go to this Reliatel controls service and diagnostic support manual. And if you're looking for all of the other diagrams for anything in a 3 to 10 ton Reliatel, this is the manual here. So this is information that you might want to download. Someday you may need wiring manuals for a 3 to 10 ton Reliatel. And if you're going to be doing any troubleshooting, you probably want this service diagnostic and support manual here.